Do you remember the last time you tried to say something in English and the words just disappeared? Like you knew what you wanted to say, you had the feeling, you had the idea, but when you opened your mouth, nothing came out. Or something came out, but it sounded so wrong that you just stopped. And then that silence felt like the longest silence of your life.
Yeah, I remember that feeling very well. I was at a meeting once, a real work meeting, and someone asked me a simple question. A simple question. Something like, "What do you think about this?" And I just sat there. My face went red, my mind went blank, and I thought to myself, why can't I do this? What is wrong with me?
And here's the thing, that moment, that painful, quiet, embarrassing moment, it wasn't about grammar. It wasn't about vocabulary. It was about something much deeper. It was about the way I was thinking about myself as an English learner.
And that's exactly what today's video is about. Not a grammar rule, not a list of new words to memorize. Today, we're talking about one mindset shift, one change in the way you think that can genuinely change everything about your English journey.
Welcome to Elevate Your English podcast. I'm Sarah.
And I'm James.
And today, we're going somewhere a little different. Stay with us. This one is worth it.
Okay, Sarah, let's get into it. So, most English learners, they study for months, sometimes years. They take classes, they watch videos, they do exercises. And then, one day someone speaks to them in real life, fast, natural English, and they freeze. Like a computer that's trying to load too many things at once.
Yes, and then what happens after that? They feel embarrassed. They feel stupid. And then, and this is the really dangerous part, they start to avoid English. They don't talk to people. They stay quiet in class. They switch back to their native language as fast as possible. And slowly, quietly, they start to believe something very harmful.
What do they believe?
They believe English is just not for me, or I'm not smart enough for this. Or maybe if I was younger, I could do it, but now it's too late.
Oh, that one. The too late thought. James smiles softly. That one hits differently. I had a student. Well, she was in my conversation group. Her name was Jessica. She was 34 years old. She had been studying English on and off for about 12 years. She was intelligent. She read English novels. She could write quite well. But every time she had to speak, she would apologize before she even opened her mouth. She would say, "Sorry, my English is not good," before saying a single word. And then, of course, because she already believed that, it became true.
That is so real. And it's heartbreaking, isn't it? Because her English wasn't bad. Her belief about her English was bad. And that belief, that story she was telling herself, was the real problem.
Let's talk about that more, because I think a lot of our listeners right now are nodding. Like they're sitting somewhere, maybe on a bus, maybe at home, and they're thinking, that's me. That's literally me.
So what are the most common struggles you see, James, from your experience?
Okay, so the first one, and this is massive, is comparison. People compare themselves to native speakers and feel like failures. Like you watch a movie, the characters speak so fast, so naturally. They use slang, they interrupt each other, they laugh, and you think, I will never sound like that. And that thought alone is enough to stop you from even trying.
Right, and the comparison thing doesn't stop there. People also compare themselves to other learners. Oh, my friend started learning English the same time as me, but her English is so much better now. Maybe I'm just slower. And suddenly it becomes a competition instead of a journey.
And then there's what I call the perfect sentence trap. This is when someone waits, and waits, and waits, until they have the perfect sentence formed in their head before speaking. And while they're waiting, the conversation moves on, or the moment passes, and they say nothing. And then they blame their English. But actually, it was the waiting.
The perfectionism thing is so real. I used to do this. I would mentally translate from my language to English, word by word. And of course, by the time I finished translating, the conversation had moved on. And I'd just smile and nod, like, yes, yes, I agree, even if I had no idea what was said.
Ha! The smile and nod. Classic survival technique.
Survival technique, exactly. But here's the thing, when you're always in survival mode, you stop growing. You stop learning. You stop taking risks. And English, like any real skill, only gets better when you take risks.
Can we talk about fear for a second? Because I think fear is underneath all of this. Fear of sounding stupid, fear of making mistakes, fear of people judging your accent, your grammar, your word choice.
Yes, and here's something interesting about fear. Fear works differently in language learning than in other skills. Like, if you're learning to paint and you make a mistake, it's just on the canvas. It's quiet. It's private. But language is public. You make a mistake and someone hears it, and that feels very exposed.
Exactly. And our brains, they were designed thousands of years ago to protect us from danger. Social embarrassment, to our brain, feels like danger. So when you think, what if I say something wrong and everyone laughs? Your brain says, stop, don't speak, danger. And you freeze. Not because you're weak, but because you're human.
I love that you said that, because so many people blame themselves. They think it's a personal failure, but it's not. It's biology. It's normal. The question is, what do you do with it?
Okay, so, the mindset shift. The one thing. Tell me, Sarah, what is it?
All right, so the mindset shift is this. Stop thinking of yourself as someone who is learning English, and start thinking of yourself as someone who already speaks English.
Wait, say that again?
Stop thinking of yourself as a learner, a beginner, a person who is not there yet, and start thinking of yourself as a speaker, an English speaker who is still developing, still growing, still adding more, but already an English speaker.
Okay, I hear you. But isn't that a little bit like lying to yourself? I mean, if someone's at A2 level, they're not fluent. Isn't it kind of dishonest to say, I'm an English speaker?
I love that question. And no, here's why. Think about a child who is learning to walk. When a 1-year-old takes 3 steps and then falls, are they a walker?
I mean, I guess, kind of.
Yes, they are a walker. A developing walker. A walker who still falls sometimes. A walker who needs support. But we never say, you are not a walker yet. Come back when you're better. We say, look at you go. You walked. You did it. And that encouragement, that belief, is what makes them try again. And again. And again. Until one day, they're running.
That's actually a really powerful way to think about it. So, the identity shift, thinking of yourself as a speaker, changes how you approach the language.
Completely. Here's the practical difference. When you think, I'm still learning English, you wait. You wait until you're ready to speak. You study more. You review more. You prepare more. But you never feel ready, because there's always more to learn.
And when you think, I'm an English speaker,
You speak, even imperfectly, even with mistakes, because speakers speak. That's what they do. And every time you speak, even badly, you are getting better. You are building a muscle. You are rewiring your brain.
I want to share something here. When I first moved to a new country where English was the main language, I was terrified. My English was okay on paper, I had studied it in school. But spoken English, casual English, that was different. I remember going to a coffee shop, and when the barista asked, "Hey, how's your day going?" I didn't know what to say. Not because I didn't know the words, but because in my mind, I hadn't given myself permission to just have a normal conversation. I thought I needed to earn the right to speak casually.
And did something change for you?
It did. One day, I just decided consciously, that I was going to treat myself like I belonged in these conversations. I stopped over-apologizing. I stopped saying, "Sorry, my English." I just started talking. Messy, imperfect, sometimes wrong, but talking. And within a few months, everything changed. Not my grammar. My relationship with English changed.
And that is the mindset shift in real life. It doesn't mean you stop learning. It doesn't mean you stop caring about improving. It just means you stop putting your identity, your sense of self-worth, on hold until your English is good enough. Because that day, that good enough day, it never comes for people who wait.
There's actually some psychology behind this. There's a concept called identity-based habits. The idea that the most powerful changes happen when you change how you see yourself, not just what you do. So if you see yourself as someone who is bad at languages, you will unconsciously act in ways that confirm that belief. You'll avoid speaking. You'll give up faster. You'll notice every mistake.
But if you see yourself as someone who loves English, who is curious about English, who is actively building their English every day, you act differently. You try more. You bounce back faster from mistakes. You actually enjoy the process instead of just surviving it.
And you know what else changes? Your tolerance for mistakes. When you're a learner, mistakes feel like proof that you're bad. When you're a speaker, mistakes feel like information. Like, oh, interesting, I said that wrong. Let me adjust. No drama, no shame spiral, just adjustment.
I want to say something about the shame spiral, actually, because this is something no one talks about enough. When you make a mistake in English and you feel shame, that shame feeling takes up all the space in your brain. There's no room left to learn from the mistake. You're too busy feeling bad to actually process what happened. But when you can look at a mistake with curiosity instead of shame, that's when real learning happens.
Curiosity over shame. I like that a lot. It reminds me of something a teacher told me once. She said, "Mistakes in language are not failures. They are data. Every wrong word, every grammar slip, it's your brain sending you a message. It's saying, hey, this part needs a little more attention." That's not embarrassing. That's useful.
Okay, we want to give you something practical to take away from this episode. Not a list of things to study, not homework. Just one small challenge for this week.
Here it is. This week, just once, we want you to introduce yourself in English without any apology and without any disclaimer. No, sorry, my English is not very good. No, I'm still learning. Just your name, where you're from, one thing you like. Simple, honest. No apology.
You can do it in a comment under this video. You can do it in front of a mirror. You can record a voice note on your phone. You can do it in your head if you're shy. That's okay too. But just do it once without apologizing for your English.
Because that apology, that small habit of putting yourself down before you even begin, is something you're allowed to let go of. You don't owe anyone an apology for speaking a second language. You are doing something genuinely difficult. That deserves respect, starting with your own.
So that's the challenge. One introduction, no apology. If you do it, tell us in the comments. We read every single one.
Okay, let's quickly go back through what we talked about today.
We started with a feeling a lot of you know. That moment of freezing, of knowing what you want to say, but not being able to say it. And we talked about how that feeling is more about mindset than about language.
We talked about the common struggles: comparison to native speakers, perfectionism, the perfect sentence trap, and the role of fear, and how fear isn't a personal weakness, it's a very normal human response.
And then we got to the big mindset shift. Stop waiting until you're ready to be an English speaker. Give yourself that identity now. Speak as someone who already belongs in English conversations. Because you do.
And the challenge? One introduction, no apology this week.
That's it. Simple, but not easy. And if it doesn't feel easy, that's okay. Growth rarely feels comfortable at first.
10 intermediate-level words from this video. Read each word carefully. Say the example sentence out loud. Then try to answer the speaking practice question. 1. Mindset. Noun. Meaning: the way you think about something, your attitude or mental approach. Example: changing your mindset about mistakes is the first step to real progress. Speaking practice. What is one area of your life where you would like to change your mindset? 2. Embarrassed. Adjective. Meaning: feeling uncomfortable or ashamed because of something you said or did. Example: she felt embarrassed when she pronounced the word incorrectly in front of everyone. Speaking practice. Can you think of a time you felt embarrassed while speaking English? What happened? 3. Freeze. Verb. Meaning: to suddenly stop moving or thinking, usually because of fear or surprise. Example: when the teacher called my name, I just froze and couldn't remember anything. Speaking practice. Do you ever freeze when you need to speak English quickly? What usually helps you? 4. Tolerance. Noun. Meaning: the ability to accept or deal with something difficult without getting upset. Example: building tolerance for mistakes is more important than avoiding them. Speaking practice. How is your tolerance for making mistakes in English? Has it changed over time? 5. Unconsciously. Adverb. Meaning: without being aware of it, automatically, without thinking about it. Example: he was unconsciously avoiding situations where he had to speak English. Speaking practice. Is there something you do unconsciously when you feel nervous about speaking? 6. Adjust. Verb. Meaning: to make a small change to improve something or fix a problem. Example: when I realized I had used the wrong word, I simply adjusted and moved on. Speaking practice. When you make a grammar mistake in English, how do you usually adjust or respond? 7. Permission. Noun. Meaning: the right or freedom to do something given by yourself or others. Example: sometimes we need to give ourselves permission to speak imperfectly. Speaking practice. Is there something in your English learning that you need to give yourself more permission to try? 8. Identity. Noun. Meaning: the way you see and define yourself, who you believe you are. Example: your identity as an English speaker can shape how much you practice and improve. Speaking practice. How do you describe your identity as an English learner? Is it positive or negative? 9. Genuinely. Adverb. Meaning: in a real, honest, or sincere way, not pretending. Example: I genuinely enjoy English podcasts because they feel natural and real. Speaking practice. Name one thing about English that you genuinely enjoy or find interesting. 10. Curiosity. Noun. Meaning: a strong wish to know or learn about something, an interest in exploring. Example: Approaching mistakes with curiosity instead of shame makes learning much faster. Speaking practice. What is one thing about the English language that makes you feel curious or surprised?
Before we go, I want to say something, and I want to say it clearly because I mean it. Learning English is hard. Not because you're not smart enough, not because it's too late, but because it's genuinely one of the most complex things a human brain can do. Communicate in a language that wasn't your first.
And yet millions of people do it every single day, in imperfect ways, in accented ways, in slow, searching, sometimes fumbling ways. But they do it. And with every conversation, every sentence, every awkward pause, they get better.
The people who get better are not necessarily the ones who study the most. They're the ones who believe, even slightly, even on the bad days, that they are capable of this. That belief is not arrogance. It's not pretending. It's just deciding, quietly, firmly, to be on your own side.
So whatever brought you to this podcast today, a difficult test, a job interview, a trip you're planning, or just a quiet hope that your English will one day feel natural, we want you to know that hope is worth protecting.
Keep it, nurture it, and keep showing up, even on the days when it feels slow, even on the days when you make mistakes, even on the days when you feel like you'll never get there. Because those are actually the days when the most growth is happening, even when you can't see it yet.
Thank you for spending this time with us. We'll see you, or hear you, in the next video.
Take care, and keep speaking.
Oh, and one more thing before you go. If this episode felt useful, if even one part of it stayed with you, consider hitting the subscribe button. Not because we need the numbers, but because every week we make another episode just like this one, designed for English learners, designed to be real. And we'd love for you to be part of that.
You can also leave a comment and tell us, what is one belief about your English that you are ready to let go of? We genuinely read every answer, and sometimes we talk about your responses in future videos. So your voice, your real voice, matters here.
All right, that's all from us. Goodbye for now.
Goodbye.